Hello, whenever you are. I'll just do a video, I think. Yep. Axel, let's start with Axel. Yes, I think two things coming from Axel. One is that rich people are basically educated into being rich and powerful, and poor people are educated into being poor car mechanics. Obviously, that's a big black and white, but there is that sort of thing that exists in the Western world's education system, especially in the UK and the US. Not so much in Europe, but basically money still buys you, your children, the chance, the better chance, the much better chance of getting in and having more money and keeping it in the future, and power. From that, let's have a quick go at redistribution again. Any redistribution is just because the thing is so obvious. I'll just run it through. So let's say we have a redistribution. We know that these tax things on income are pretty useless because the wealthy have already got their wealth and power. So taxing just a bit of turnaround of money isn't going to make any inroads into it at all. Estate taxes, I'll just say one thing, that if it ever came to it, besides the other thing I'm going to besides the fact that the people do, as a commenter said, think for themselves, as in, I would like to pass on, I don't have a house, but I've saved up 20,000 monies, I'd like to give that to my children. Or the other person that's got a house and 200,000 monies wants to give that. Everybody will always vote for it and will understand that the person that has 10 houses and $2 billion of money and 3 yachts, and they want to do it as well, and everybody will appreciate that this is how I feel about my money, and I'm sure that's how they feel about their money, and will always be chary. They will not be coming forward to demand that the wealthy, even the very hyper wealthy, do give over, should be heavily taxed on their estate tax. That obviously the rich, you'll get more people that will vote for the rich to be clouted, but you'll always be struggling to get the mass population behind huge estate taxes. What we're talking about is getting into the great big swag loads of wealth and power that the wealth and powerful have got. So taxes are no good, and I'm pretty sure that estate taxes aren't going to be a way into it. It worked to a certain extent in 18th, 19th century Britain, especially 19th century Britain, to pull down the royalty, basically, the dukes and all that sort of thing. They did put huge estate taxes on, and it did break up the estates. So it can be a go if it is seen, only if it's been seen, as a punishment for the rich and powerful for overplaying their hand. As long as the rich and powerful just are rich and powerful and aren't seen to run slaves and basically be exceptionally naughty, I don't think estate taxes will ever get mass support, enough mass support to push it through against the wishes of the rich and powerful. You can see what I mean. You need huge mass support from the major mass of the population to move against the small amount of people with huge amounts of voting money. So another way would be, well, you can't get them year by year, you can't get them at the end of their life. How about just go in one lot and pull a whole lot of money out of them? Obviously this won't work either, because it would have to be a one-hit wonder. If it was, and you can't ever you'll never convince the world that it's a one-hit wonder, because if it was ever imagined that it was going to happen again, well, what would happen was, okay, just like did happen in the USSR when they distributed the state ownership of the state-owned companies to the people. Before, a few years was out, all of those tickets were owned by 50 oligarchs. And it would happen again, but only if the oligarchs or the disinherited rich thought it would be worth them buying them again. There'd be no doubt about it that the poor would sell them. They would be selling them because the stock market, let's say we're giving away stock tickets, the stock market would be absolutely tumbling, because everybody would know that the heart of thinking when given stock tickets that are going down are going to sell them, making them go down further. Or they'd just sell them because they just wanted the cash. They don't understand or trust these little bits of paper. They want Walmart money. So they'd be selling them. The stock market, the prices of all this stuff would be going down. Now, if you wanted it to go back up again, to give the people the value for the money, the tickets that they've been given, and the fuss that's been caused in the country, you'd want to have that value kept up. And the only way to be kept up if there were major buyers, and the only major buyers would be the people that you'd taken the money from, the people that do trust those tickets. So you'd need those rich people to be wanting to buy them back again, even if they had to borrow money to buy them back again. Without that, without the tickets going back to the rich and creating the demand, all you do is get your stock market level all the way down to effectively not zero, but very, very small amount, and you've wasted and wasted the faith that the world has in your effective ways of running a country, because just to rip money off people and give it to people, and then that money, the tickets to fall to zero value, so it's done nobody any good, it's just done a load of harm, would just be a pathetic thing to do. Okay, now I won't go into it in this video, but bonds might be a bit of a different way. Now, if you wanted to strip the rich personal owners of bonds, that might be different. But actually, equity, stock tickets, it'd just be ludicrous, because you'd give away nothing. You'd just ruin things for no reason at all. You wouldn't be giving away anything, because those stock tickets only have value if they have demand for them. With no demand for them, you wouldn't be giving anything away. All you'd be doing is taking from the rich for the of it. That's all it would be, absolutely be. Okay, bonds we could talk about. Over in Europe, just read a denial by the ECB, the European Central Bank, this morning, denying that they will cap, let's say Spain's bonds, but anybody's bonds that come under. What's got to happen is kind of an ABC. A country like Spain has to write a letter to Brussels and say, we're in serious trouble, we need to borrow money, we need to come under the protection program. Then the protection program says, righto, we'll put a program together for you where you must do austerity. You must do austerity here of this much, next year that of this much, and the year after bim of bim much. Okay, that paper must be then signed by, say, example, Spain, Italy, Portugal again, whoever it might be. And then with that being signed, and as long as they stick to whatever's been signed, the ECB will come along and buy enough of their bonds in the secondary market, in the natural selling stock market for bonds, you could call it, in the external bond market, and cap those rates, say at 5% on the 10-year, etc., whatever they would, which would be making solid targets for market participants to aim at, but that's a technical point. But it looks like that is the way Europe has moved, because Europe is 17 countries, stroke 18, and they've got voting rights. So Italy and Spain, Greece, Portugal, Ireland and France have much more voting power than Germany. and Holland and Austria put together and all that lot. And basically that's the core understand that push comes to shove, they're outvoted. So that's what both people want. That means that the countries would have their bonds capped and they would not be forced into austerity by their bonds. They don't like the idea that their bonds will be going up and down, and it'd be not irrational, it'd be volatile for them, and they wouldn't know what to do. So the countries would be happy that their bonds would be capped. The core would be happy that they could tell the peripheral countries exactly what to do, which would be austerity, austerity, and austerity, to try and get in line with what they think that they'd be getting the periphery in line with what they do, which is an absolute nonsense, and that's where it all falls down. And the ECB, who doesn't want to do this buying, but would at least know that they would be keeping up the value of the bonds in the banks of the member countries, and would effectively Japanify all the banks in Europe. But it's better having them Japanified and just held solvent than it would be to have them insolvent and have huge bank runs in Europe. So everybody would be unhappy, but happy enough to sign up for something like that. Now, would that make the euro currency strong like the Japanese yen? No great ideas come to me, but maybe you can think that far ahead. It's a fudge, but of course this had to be a fudge. Would it cause what people call inflation? Nah. There would be fuss that it would, but it wouldn't. Would it cause deflation? It could well might, and that could be what actually breaks it, but that's another story. But the market would be temporarily happy with it, because the thing that worries the market so much is the solvency of the banks, and it would temporarily guarantee the solvency of the banks and their asset side stuffed full of sovereign bonds. The rest of the stuff will go bad slowly, but at least one major asset class is saved. Bye.